Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Look, man, people need to understand the things men do and get away with as a woman, you can't do it. I've been learning that. Ladies have been schooling me up, man. Look, even at age 50, an old dog can learn new tricks. Good thing I ain't still out there on the running the streets, first name single, last name mingle. I've cleaned up my act. But I do understand that allegations of dating a married man can affect a female athlete a lot different than it can affect a male, and their image once it takes a hit, it's hard to recover, hard to rebrand. And when it comes to your power, your fan perception, you're going to struggle, and women will respond very, very strongly when it comes to scandals. Now listen. We know public figures live under a microscope, and for women, especially women in male-dominated sports, the microscope is even harsher. When fans believe a female athlete is dating a married man, even if the couple is separated, even if the marriage is functionally over, even if the situation is more complex than it appears, public perception immediately shifts. Not because people know the full story, but because people project their own experiences, hurts, traumas, and biases onto the situation. They're like, okay, I've been the woman involved in the scandal. Well, I've been the one who's with the married man, but I've been the woman with the man who, there was a mistress who came and took my man from me. And that projection can be powerful enough to damage brand deals, cause sponsorships, and create long-term reputation shifts. Before going into percentages or consequences, I think we just need to understand the emotional layer behind all this, you know what I'm saying? Why women react stronger than men to alleged infidelity situations. Because I'll be honest with you, when I hear that, this shit don't faze me. I don't really care about too much anyway. I'm just like, whatever. But for the ladies, say, ow, most women have lived through one of the following. A husband or boyfriend who cheated, a father who cheated and destabilized the household, an other woman destroying a relationship, a friend or sister crying after losing their family to infidelity, being blindsided by betrayal themselves. So when they hear rumors, true or untrue, of a female public figure dating a married man, they aren't just reacting to her, they're reacting to their own wounds. To a lot of women, the other woman isn't just a person. It's a symbol of pain. Even if the man's separated, even if the marriage is dead, even if the wife has moved on, even if the story's not clean or clear. People don't examine context, they examine emotion. And this is why fan reaction is so intense when these situations appear. And I am telling you, this is a fact, Jack. Fans' reactions, boy, more intense about this than anything else. Because that's the one thing that keeps coming up when I start having conversations just about these situations that could be going on right now. Now, brand damage. Whether you're an athlete and acting, doesn't matter what you're doing. Brand damage can occur when you find yourself in these situations, and companies care. Sponsorship companies, they aren't moral police, they're risk managers. They ain't too worried about what you have going on as long as you don't put it out there, you know? Your life is your life. But they will evaluate public outrage potential, social media backlash, the likelihood of boycotts, the narrative attached to the athlete, long-term reputational alignment. They evaluate that. So when the scandal, real or rumored, touches the topics, cheating, marriage, infidelity, family damage, let me tell you something. Brands, sponsorships, they get nervous for one simple reason. Infidelity is one of the few universal triggers that affects nearly every demographic, especially women. Especially a woman. This isn't a black thing, a white thing, an Asian thing, a biracial thing. It's not that. It affects every demographic. Women make the majority of purchasing decisions in households. Brands protect that demographic at all costs. So if you're a high profile, whatever, and you messing with a married man, you better understand that brands protect the demographic or the women making the majority of purchasing decisions at all costs. So even if the situation is misunderstood or misrepresented, brands react to the reaction, not the truth. And that's just the reality that we living in. You know what I'm saying? Now, I was sitting here doing some tabulations with the Hood Champion calculator, and I was like, what are some realistic brand loss estimates? Like some hypotheticals, okay? Again, these percentages are not about a certain person specifically, but these are just industry averages based on similar controversies involving female public figures. If a female athlete is publicly believed to be dating a married man, even if separated, she risks. Now, this is factual shit here, man. Well, the conversation's real, but these are just hypotheticals, right? But this, I want to make sure these are industry averages based on similar controversies involving female public figures. If a female athlete is believed to be dating a married man, even if he's separated, she risks 20 to 40% decrease in incoming brand offer inquiries. Brands may hold off until the public calms down. 10 to 25% loss in active sponsorship negotiations. Deals in progress often die quietly under the PR umbrella until the PR smoke clears. 15 to 30% reduction in family-friendly partnerships. Companies related to wellness, education, beauty, female empowerment, and nonprofits are especially sensitive to infidelity-centered backlash. Social capital loss. Fans, especially women aged 25 to 55, may disengage emotionally. Bingo! Message. That is a fact. Now, this is not always permanent, but it can last, a couple years, depending on how big the conversation becomes. But the reality is, all these losses we're talking about, if you don't have any sponsorship negotiations, underway, and no family-friendly partnerships and no incoming brand offers, then you know what? It doesn't affect you because you don't have it anyway. But the thing is, maybe there were some people who were interested in working with a person and then found out they had all this crap going on and it's out there in the public and they're just making all this unnecessary noise. They may say, we're going to walk away from that. So you would never know what opportunities were about to present themselves because of the choices you're making, and these people just sitting back behind the scenes in the bushes, and they're like, nah, we see what's going on. We do not want to be associated with that. Nobody wants to deal with social capital loss. Nobody wants to deal with losing money at all, man. They don't want to deal with that. So, why this specific situation hits hard for the public, man, is pretty easy to understand. Even when a man's separated, the public still sees that he's married. I have learned this. I didn't understand this. I now understand. If you're married, they see you as married. Or me, I'm like, I'm a male. If my wife and I separate, we may still be married, but we're separated. She doing her thing, I'm doing mine. I'm not gonna be lonely. You better believe I'm gonna have to go out here, man, and dust off the old goddamn, the catch me outfits, the set the hook outfits. I gotta dust it off. I ain't gonna be running around here lonely. First priority is the kids, but shit, everybody need a little bit of affection and someone to socialize with, and who want to live a lonely life. But again, I'm realizing when it comes to the ladies, they ain't trying to hear that shit. I could be out up in the club, and they could be like, that's my wife over there. See her with that man, they're dragging their tongue through each other's mouth? Yeah, we're legally separated. Oh, but you're married? Yeah, but look, she kissing that man, but you're married. Yeah. Okay, well, when you deal with that situation, I'm like, damn, you headstrong, aren't you? Okay, I need to go find me a weak one. Maybe give somebody a Heineken here. Here, go drink this Heineken. too headstrong, goddammit. But the bottom line with a lot of women, married equals off limits. You know what I'm saying? That's what they see. They see the nuance of separation, the complexity of human relationships. The public sees the fact that marriage can be legally intact but emotionally over. But none of that matters to the court of public opinion. It doesn't. People think in headlines. People judge in black and white. People respond to symbols, not situations. And in this symbolic framework, the married man becomes, unavailable. The woman he dates becomes the other woman, and the wife becomes a victim. And that's just what I've come to the conclusion. It's like this is kind of unfair, but it is what it is. Even when the reality is far more complicated, this is just seems to be the reality. I'm telling you, man. I've been doing these lives at night. I'm telling you. The married man becomes unavailable. The women don't care what his story is, even if they know your ass still married. He off limits. If a woman messes with him, they look at the woman crazy. The woman he dates becomes the other woman, and that's how they look at it. And the wife becomes a victim, and that's how they look at it. Even though they know, it seems a bit complicated. There's some levels of complexity there, but at the end of the day, the black and white, it doesn't matter to Michael Jackson, but it matters to us. You're married, your ass is married. And that's why the backlash hits very, very hard. So there are some people like me who feel like sometimes the public can be a little unfair. You know what I'm saying? It can be a little unfair towards the ladies, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's a yes and no, okay? Yes, the public can be a bit unfair because they don't know the full truth. They assume the worst. They punish women far more than men. The man's accountability is ignored. Separation gets erased. Context disappears, and people project their trauma onto the woman who's with the married man. But also, it's like, nah, man. It's not being unfair because women have lived through real emotional destruction caused by infidelity. So their anger is often, for some, not all, misdirected pain. But there's others like, this ain't misdirected pain. This is just what I believe in, and what's going on here is wrong. Especially when they start talking about, religion. Oh boy, when they get going on that, I get quiet. Because the women don't play. Look, man, too many women. She becomes a symbol of betrayal, even if she didn't betray anyone. And that's the thing. To many women, the woman who's with the married man becomes a symbol of betrayal, even if she didn't betray anyone. And it symbols, I think symbols trigger emotion, not logic. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, look, there's a double standard. Even I can tell you that. When male athletes date separated women or jump into complicated relationships, the public usually just shrugs like, whatever. But when women do it, oh boy, they're home wreckers, they're problematic, they're not role models, they're morally questionable. This is sexism, plain and simple. Women are held to moral expectations that men are not. A man can cheat and gain fans. A woman can donate. Let me tell you something. A woman can come out here, man, and donate $1 billion. But if she dates someone separated, she will lose fans. You can give up $1 billion, save a bunch of children's lives, give homes for the underprivileged. You can come out here and erase the debt of a country. If your ass is with somebody you're dating and he's separated, especially if he, even if he's married, you're gonna lose fans. It's unfair, but it's real, man. It is very real. So, how much damage can this do to a person? I think it depends on a few things, man. If the person addresses it publicly, or if they just stay silent, man. Silent keeps fans guessing. Clarity often helps, but must be done carefully. Does a person clean up their public interactions? If a person is out here reacting emotionally online, backlash intensifies. If they remain calm, fans soften. And does the person continue winning and elevating her career? I think winning can fix narratives and get people to kind of just tend to forget about what happened. But when you lose, oh Lord have mercy, it does nothing but amplify the headache and the problem. So with all that being said, there are ways someone could try to recover their image if you're a woman being with a married man, an athlete, I think you can be consistent with positive work, avoid emotional social media responses, let time pass, allow fans to see, her humanity, highlight her accomplishments, show her spiritual emotional growth, and avoid feeding a negative cycle. But reputation damage from relationship rumors it's not permanent, but it does require discipline to reverse it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, when fans believe a female athlete is dating a married man, even if separated, they judge harshly. Because, again, infidelity triggers emotional trauma. Women see the other woman as a symbol, not a person. Brands avoid controversy linked to relationships. Fans hold women to higher moral standards than men. Narratives spread faster than facts. That's just what it is, man. And the situation can cost big time. 20 to 40% of potential brand opportunities, 10 to 25% of active sponsorships. But if you don't have any of that going on, it doesn't cost you anything. But for sure, you're not going to receive it, especially with that drama going on in your life. But at the end of the day, could just be temporary. The damage is reversible with consistency and allowing time to just do what time does, make things better. And I do think a large portion of targeting is emotional, not logical. And when you have a female who's out here in the situation, she's being judged more harshly than a man would be. And women are reacting from past personal pain, not from objective truth all the time. So it's a complex mix of unfair standards, gendered expectations, and emotional projection. So it is what it is, man. Anyway, the scandal will shatter your brand and people will turn on you. Better figure that out because the ladies aren't playing. Y'all keep cool. Time to go exercise in the breeze.